Okay, should I just leave this down here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, okay, so to recap for anyone on Zoom who did not hear everything we just talked about, we're studying the O antiphons, which are Vesper songs that are used on the last 7 days of Advent in Western Christian traditions, most commonly the Catholic Church. And these date back to 6th century Italy, and each one addresses Jesus with a different name based on the prophecies of Isaiah about the coming of the Messiah. So the first one we looked at was O Sapientia, and we Googled it and figured out it means O wisdom. And that antiphon reads, O wisdom of our God Most High, guiding creation with power and love, come to teach us the path of knowledge. And we were talking about what it means for Jesus to be wisdom incarnate. And if anybody had scripture passages or stories in which you think of Jesus as being a wise human. Yeah, Shirley.
There's a whole chapter in Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time by Marcus Ford, where it talks specifically about wisdom.
Oh, great.
And specifically the parables and proverbs of Jesus.
Love it. Okay, so Shirley said there's a whole chapter in the book Meeting Jesus for the First Time by Marcus Borg about the wisdom of Jesus, and specifically it talks about the parables and proverbs of Jesus. Those are perfect examples of his wisdom. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
When he was young, he was living with the elders at the temple, and they said that the elders said that they hadn't known anybody in church.
Yes. Great story. So that is when Jesus is young and his family finds him in the temple and he's teaching the scriptures. Yes, very wise young man. Yeah.
It's interesting because wisdom is making Sophia, which is like a Gnostic apocryphal character, but that seems to be folding it right into it.
Yes. Okay. So she said Sophia is wisdom, but more of a Gnostic sense, but that's sort of folded into this. So yeah, I think it's sort of this idea that there's wisdom in the world, but it's like concentrated in this divine person of Jesus. Okay, any other wisdom thoughts? So the next one you see on the screen already is O Adonai. You probably know this one just from hearing it a lot in church. Does anyone want to shout it out?
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord. Yes. And this antiphon reads, O leader of the house of Israel, giver of the law of Moses on Sinai, come to rescue us with your mighty power. So this is actually kind of tied into the sermon series that we're starting today in worship. But what does it mean for Jesus to be the Lord or the leader of Israel? Any thoughts on that? It's a little bit, and I talk about this a little bit in my sermon today, but it's a little bit uncomfortable for us to think about lords or kings or people that rule over us, because in our culture, that's not really, I mean, our country is founded on democracy, so we don't love kings historically. But I think we can all say from our faith tradition that we understand this idea of someone ruling over us or someone who is leading us, right? Okay. All right, the next one. Any guesses as to what? The root of Jesse, yes. Yes, the root of Jesse. O root of Jesse's stem, sign of God's love for all his people, come to save us without delay. So why is it important for Jesus to be connected to Jesse? Does anyone know this history?
I found it on my phone.
Great, you found it on your phone, yes.
So it's King David's father.
That's right, King David's father was Jesse. So if you remember the story, David was a shepherd boy. The prophet came to select the next king of Israel and was told it was going to be one of Jesse's sons, and all of them were paraded out. None of them were the right ones. And then they said, oh, we have this one little shepherd boy too, but he's not going to king. And the prophet was like, no, that's the one, that's the one. And then of course he goes out and he kills Goliath and becomes the king. So in the passage of Isaiah, it's kind of long, but it says, a shoot shall come out from the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge by what his eyes see, or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kick the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put its hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. On that day, the root of Jesse shall stand as a signal to the peoples. The nations shall inquire of him, and his dwelling shall be glorious. So it was important for the gospel writers and for people of this faith tradition historically to connect Jesus to the tree, the family tree of Jesse, in order to fulfill this prophecy. And so that's a part of his, one of the names we call him, to remind ourselves that this is all connected. And you'll see sometimes in artwork, there's a tree often depicted, showing that Jesus is connected to this royal family through this family tree. All right. Oh, Clavis David. We know David, but what's a clavis? What was that? An instrument, good guess. Not quite. But it's a key, that's right. O key of David, opening the gates of God's eternal kingdom, come and free the prisoners of darkness. Why is Jesus the king of the key of David? Because in Isaiah 22, it says, I will place on his shoulder the key of the house of David. He shall open and no one shall shut. He shall shut and no one shall open. I will fasten him like a peg in a secure place, and he will become a throne of honor to his ancestral house. And they will hang on him the whole weight of his ancestral house, the offspring and issue, every small vessel, from the cups to all the flagons. So again, it's referencing this prophecy in Isaiah, this idea that Jesus is the key that somehow unlocks what needs to be unlocked and closes and locks what needs to be closed and locked. There's also a reference to this in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 7, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these are the words of the Holy One, the true one, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one opens. Yeah.
Is that also similar, I mean, it sounds similar to when Jesus said to Peter, I give you the key.
Interesting, yeah. That Jesus talks about passing the keys of the kingdom to Peter. And so again, and he also kind of references the idea of binding and loosing what needs to be bound and loose. Yeah, so it's this idea of someone who controls, right? Who allows the good things in and the bad, and locks the bad things out. And there's also this idea of a kingdom that David was reigning over, that Jesus is coming to fulfill in that way. All right, I hope you're thinking of some favorites out of all these names. Oh, Oriens. Any ideas about that one? Morning Star. Okay. There are a couple interpretations of this, but morning star is a good one. The east is a good one. Yep. Any? So two interpretations that I like. The most common one is DAYSPRING. That doesn't really resonate with me. The one that I really like is "Oh, radiant dawn." But it's this idea of a sunrise, right? And so someone had mentioned earlier about the light. So it's the antiphon reads, "O radiant dawn, splendor of eternal light, sun of justice, come and shine on those who dwell in darkness and in the shadow of death." I think this is my favorite antiphon. I think it's really lovely. So what does it mean for Jesus to be the dawn or the sunrise or the east? A new beginning. Yep. What's that? The hope. Yes, for sure. An awakening. I love that. Yes. And you kind of said it earlier, right? It's the light that comes out of the darkness. The darkest time of night is when the dawn actually begins. Ooh, I just got goosebumps. That's really, I like that idea. Okay. O Rex Gentium. Any ideas about that one? Rex is king, yep. King of all the people, that's a good interpretation, yep. Any other interpretations of Gentium? I like king of all the people. This one is actually interpreted, "O king of the nations, O king of all nations and keystone of the church, come and save man." It's not so inclusive. "Come and save people whom you formed from the dust." So again, this is a big part of our sermon series this month, but what does it mean for Jesus to be king of all the nations or king of all the people? Any ideas? You can tell me quick so I can preach about it in 20 minutes. No ideas about that one? He knows no boundaries. Okay, I like that.
Maybe they're just using generic king so that everybody can identify, because some might be Lord, some might be all the other names, but king could be the random name they pick for everybody to focus on.
King could be the random name they chose for everyone. Well, what I like, yeah, what I think this means really is king of all the nations is a unifying thing. So not every nation has its own king, but Jesus is sort of the king that reigns over everyone and therefore brings everyone together into one kingdom. So everyone's sort of brought together underneath his rule, which is going to be one of justice and peace. I hope.
I was thinking that, when she said king with no borders or boundaries,
Yep.
I was thinking of borderless king,
A borderless king.
where everyone has access to the king.
Where everyone has access to the king. Oh, I like that too. Yeah. Yeah, so all the divisions are gone.
Yeah, like doctors without borders.
Doctors without borders, yeah. Kings without borders. King without borders. Yeah, I like that.
The origin of the text up here, is this when you can't picture?
These are the antiphons, yeah. So these date back to somewhere 6th century. These were written probably by monastics and they're chanted. And we're going to listen to one when we get through these. Okay, December 23rd. This is the last one that is sung on the 23rd. O Emmanuel. I hope most of you know this one. God with us. Oh, with us is God. O Emmanuel, our King and giver of law, come to save us, Lord our God. So that one is easy, right? It's just God is in the flesh. God has come to us as a human. We are familiar with that one. And, well, we'll talk about that more in a minute. I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, so I'm back here, not screen sharing. Anyone in the chat want to add anything, any thoughts you've had about any of those antiphons, any of those names for Jesus, feel free to do that. Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to play us the very first antiphon, O Sapientia, so you can hear it chanted.
I was born to play.
Stop. Okay, so that was the O Sapientia antiphon. I love these chants. I think they're really beautiful, and I think we should bring them into our tradition, quite frankly. Okay, so that's that. Now, I want to share this with you because I think this is fun and interesting. Fun fact. Let's see here. Share screen. Go to the PowerPoint. Share. Okay. Full screen. When you write the first letter of each of the antiphons down and you flip them so that the last is first and the first is last, it reads arrow cross, which means tomorrow I will come. And the last one is sung on the 23rd. So I think that had to be intentional, right? No one really knows, but because they've been around forever, but I think it was intentional, and I think it's a fun fact. All right. So, oh, we're not there yet. Don't worry about that. Okay. So as we were going through those, I know some of them were familiar to you because of different hymns or things that we do in the church. They actually all should sound familiar if you've ever sung the hymn, O Come, Emmanuel, which I think we are actually singing in worship today, because actually each verse of that song uses an antiphon title. So if you remember, I'll read the lyrics of this, and we typically only do the first 3 verses of this hymn in church, maybe 3, and then we skip down to like one of the last ones. But O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou rod of Jesse, free thine own from Satan's tyranny. From depths of hell thy people save, and give them victory o'er the grave. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou dayspring from on high, and cheer us by thy drawing nigh. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou key of David, come and open wide our heavenly home. Make safe the way that leads on high, and close the path to misery. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, Adonai, Lord of might, who to thy tribes on Sinai's height in ancient times didst give the law, in cloud and majesty and awe. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and cause us in her ways to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, desire of nations, or ruler of nations, bind all peoples in one heart and mind. Bid envy, strife, and quarrels cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. So if we're singing that hymn today, which I'm pretty sure we are, you can pay attention and you can see how the writer of this song was trying to delve a little deeper into each of those titles and explain how Jesus might fulfill that name based on what he might do when he comes again. So if you were asked to add a name and write a new antiphon, what would you choose? What do you think is missing from this list? If someone came to you and said, we need one more and you're the person to choose, what would you pick? Any ideas?
Healer.
Healer, I love that one. Oh, healer. Yes. That's a great one. Anyone else? Anyone in the chat? Advocate, someone says. I love that one too. Oh, advocate. Peace giver. Yeah, I like that. These are good. So our closing prayer exercise today, and I realize that you don't have writing utensils unless you're maybe at home. Our closing prayer exercise was to choose your favorite antiphon or the one that you came up with on your own and pray a prayer specifically to that version of Jesus or that aspect of Jesus. So for example, "O wisdom from on high, come and help me see how to get through fill in the blank," or "O key of David, come and unlock fill in the blank." So we have like 3 minutes. If anyone has a piece of paper, or I can give you my backside of my notes. If anybody wants to jot down a prayer based on this idea, I think it would be a fun exercise. Does anyone, you can raise your hand and I'll give you a sheet of paper. I have pens up here too. And if you're at home on Zoom, you might have an easier time grabbing something to jot down on. So again, if you need a reminder of the names, we had, let's go back here. We had God with us, King of all the nations, Radiant Dawn or Dayspring, Key of David, Root of Jesse, Lord, and Wisdom. So there you have it. Let me go back here and see if anybody, I'll type that question in the chat. Exercise. All right, would anyone, oh, Carol Lee's going for it. Anyone else gonna do it? Yeah. Did you write one? Oh, Creator, restore our earth. Brilliant. I think they should add it to the chant. I'm gonna type that in the chat for everyone. Anyone else? Yes. Yes.
Give us hope for each new day ahead.
I love that. Oh, daybreak. Oops. Give us hope for each new day ahead. Oh, so needed right now too. Okay, someone wrote, "O Key of David, open our minds to your love and mysteries." Beautiful. I love that. Anyone else want to share? Yeah.
Wisdom and peace giver, come restore our love for one another, our ability to exercise our compassion for all.
Okay, that was extensive and beautiful. Say it again. Oh, wisdom and peace giver,
Come restore our love
come restore our love
for one
for one another,
our ability
our ability
to exercise
to exercise
our
our compassion for all. That's beautiful. Wow. Wow, on the fly too. I'm so impressed with these. Someone said, amen. These are lovely. Anyone else want to share? Going once, going twice. All right, well, we have effectively just prayed together already, but I'm just going to read the ones that were written here as a way of closing us in prayer today. O Creator, restore our earth. O Key of David, open our minds to your love and mysteries. O daybreak, give us hope for each new day ahead. O wisdom and peace giver, come restore our love for one another, our ability to exercise our compassion for all. And let everyone say, amen. Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining me today. Just part one. And we've got more names to talk about and more history to talk about next week. So I'll join you back here. And for those of you on Zoom, thanks again for your patience. I think we have figured out what went wrong, and hopefully that won't happen next week. And I will see you all in worship to talk about the King of Kings, another name. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.